I just had the coolest conversation with ChatGPT. Here's the prompt, feel free to screenshot. I'll tag the creator I got it from below. But have you ever thought of the connection between mythology and neuroscience? Probably not, because it's a thing that humans don't really know about. Because I asked Chat to tell me something that humans don't really know about, especially about what's interestingly connected. And I'm sure this was informed by the fact that my life's work is about our relationship with the brain, but this is seriously so interesting. The connection between mythology, like the ancient stories we've been telling, and the way that we tell stories as human beings, and that it is a physical map for the neuroscience of how our brain works. They gave me 5 really interesting examples, so I'm just going to summarize them quickly for you. So there's the hero's journey, which is like the storytelling template. It shows up over and over in different mythology. And how this part of it, like the descent into the underworld and the return with the elixir, is like physically how our brain works, where we go down into the lower parts of our brain, like the limbic system, and then come back with like a restructuring, healing from trauma. Number 2 is how our brain acts like the trickster archetypes that are found in mythology, in similar ways to how our brain creates shortcuts to save energy, but also can be sort of dangerous. Like, for instance, it creates bias. That neuroscience-wise, flow states turn into this peak creativity, kind of like in ancient stories that the muses bring in inspiration when conditions get quiet and flow state-ish. That sacred rituals included repetitive actions that neuroscience-wise make us feel connected, and that the way that we heal from trauma is really mirrored in the way that myths talk about the underworld, this descent into the traumatic memory and then coming back stronger. There's a bit of a twist here. So it summarizes and talks about how early humans had an intuition of the way that neuroscience works by the way they tell their stories. And I was like, thanks, Chat, that's so cool, but what do you think of this idea? That instead of having our brain established and then we told stories that were intuitive about how our brain worked, it's actually that because as human beings, storytelling is so connected to who we are, that it was actually through the process of telling stories that our brain evolved as it did because of the structure of how we tell stories. And Chat was like, yes, this is supported by emerging research. And then we nerded out on that idea.